Buenos dias, friends of Earth. My name is Dakota, and this is a Place for Humans podcast. And this is episode 31. We're making our way up there. We're making our way downtown. We're walking fast and faces past, but we're homebound. And in this episode, we have Trevor Hall. Trevor Hall is coming on this podcast, and I'm excited for this conversation. Well, I actually already had the conversation, so I already, the excitement is I'm still riding the excitement, but it's, What I'm trying to say is this was a fun conversation, and we talk about all kinds of stuff from Jeffrey Epstein to psychedelics to Ram Dass to cannibals in India to ghosts and aliens. So, this is a fun one. If you don't know who Trevor Hall is, just go to Spotify or YouTube, type in Trevor Hall, give a listen to some of his music. I'm a big fan. That's all I got to say. So enjoy the podcast, boys and girls and everybody else. I love you. Enjoy. Okay, well, here we are again for another episode of A Place for Humans podcast. JR's here once more.
Hey, yeah, I'm glad to be back. I feel like a regular on this show now. Been on like 5 episodes, maybe.
That's like a quarter of them.
No, it's like...
This is 31.
Like 50. What?
This is
you had like 50
31.
episodes. All right, well, then that's pretty good.
Bring it in. What are we doing? Who are we talking to today? Who do we got calling in a little bit?
We're going to be talking to Trevor Hall, who I recently got to talk to a week ago and connect with. So meeting him in this environment is weird because I work for Ram Dass Foundation, so we do some stuff like that with artists. And I don't think was expecting to meet me in this kind of environment. A lot of people go on podcasts. Trevor's not one of those, but a lot of people go on podcasts just thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this over with and promote my thing. Trevor's Satsang, and it's going to be interesting to talk to him. I think he does have something he wants to share with us, like he's working on some new projects, but that's not the reason he's coming on. There's been like an open invitation for a long time from him to join. So
yeah, we've been talking about doing a podcast for a long time, but I was just in Peru and just kind of a little too just overwhelmed to really tie it in. But now I just got home. And, we set it up. And I met Trevor actually at a Ram Dass retreat. The same Ram Dass retreat I met you at, actually. What is that, 3 years ago now?
In Ojai, yeah. Man, that was magical. The first Ojai Ram Dass retreat, which is the new hub. Now that Ram Dass has passed, they're not doing any more retreats on Maui. So it's going to be on the mainland.
Oh, here's Trevor right here.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Boom. Hello?
Yo.
Hey, what's up?
Sorry, man. I was running a little late
That's okay.
this morning. You're back, man.
I'm back.
Oh my God. I was like, I can't believe you were down there that long.
Since January.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a fun time, though.
Yeah, it seemed like you made the best of it, but still, I was like, man, you really surrendered to it and just rolled with it.
Yeah. If I was stuck in the jungle in some crazy situation, I probably would have been panicking a little bit more, but I was in a nice little place.
A nice spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it was just so crazy. I had some friends that were down there and they supposedly got on the last flight out.
My sister got on the last flight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they were on the same flight.
Yep. We were just talking about all the cool people we met at Ram Dass retreats and how that's where we met at the first Ojai retreat. And
yeah.
Just talking about all the cool people that get attracted to this little circle and how crazy it is that we even got to meet Ram Dass and stuff.
Is that where we first met, at that Hanuman Gardens?
Yep.
In person?
Yep. That's the first time we met in person.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that very well because I had just gotten back from India. And then I was in this fucking mansion and I was like, whoa, this contrast is, but it was so beautiful. That retreat was so cool, special.
Yeah, that was a special one.
Yeah. Is JR going to join us?
Oh, no,
yeah,
I'm
he's here.
Oh,
Hey.
well, why can't we see her pretty face? Oh,
You can't see him?
Oh, no, I see him now. I got to switch to the other view. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, they sold that property this year, like maybe a month ago.
And shoot. Okay.
Like the same day that they sold it, or they had to get out, Raghu signed a lease for like a new place or whatever, and they moved everything from Hanuman Gardens to his house. Like that day that he moved in. Yeah.
Wow,
it was
that's
just
wild.
a big Maharaji Leela.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It seems like a good space to have that. At least a base up there in Ojai. It's a special area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like
that's going to be the new place. Ram Dass little foundation.
It seems like it fits.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Taos?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah,
I've never been there.
Yeah, I went a couple times when I was like in high school, and then I went. If I was on tour passing through, sometimes I'd be able to make it work. But then Emery and I recently went to see the new temple. And so we saw that, which was really amazing. So yeah, maybe just like four times. Yeah.
Were you playing music before you got introduced to all this kind of stuff? Like, would you have done this even if you weren't in the South Song?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having a smoothie. It's so hot here. I've been having so many smoothies. Yeah, I was playing music before. I went to boarding school for music, and that's where I met Raghu's younger brother, Sam, and we became like best friends. And that's how I got into Maharaji and Ram Dass and stuff, because he had a photo of Maharaji on the wall. And I just was like, that was it. That night just changed my life. So
it's just so funny to me that you met Raghu's brother at school.
Yeah.
And, your hair's not gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. How did you guys meet? What was the circumstance?
We just met like, it's a small school, and like I think somebody told me that like he was like a rapper. He was like a MC, and he was so good, man. He was like just this, but when I heard it, I was like, whatever, a rapper. But he kind of ran in this pack because he was from Santa Fe, and there was a few kids from Santa Fe there. And so they kind of ran in this little pack, and they were just, I don't know, they just, you feel the connection, and we got along well. And then I found out he was like into hip hop, and then we started.
Raghu's brother?
Yeah. And it's,
how old is Raghu's brother?
Well, this is the weird thing, is because Raghu's brother, I forget how it worked, because his dad married Jill, and I don't think Jill is Raghu's mom, but I think Raghu's dad got like remarried or something. But it's funny because Raghu's like, I don't know how old Raghu is, but then Sam's like my age. So, so it's kind of a gap, a big gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Raghu's 73.
Really?
Yeah, he looks great for
yeah, he does.
And if he's not that old, then I feel bad for saying that.
Yeah.
No, he might be older. Might be 74 now.
We can cut that out.
Yeah.
But that's how it all kind of transpired, I guess,
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird how these things just pop up.
Yeah, it's
one little event changes the whole course of your existence.
That was it, man. That night was it. Because that night he gave me Miracle of Love, and I just stayed up all night reading it, and I was like, bye-bye.
Wow.
I mean, were you already kind of seeking that kind of thing? Or
I was like super like heavy thinker, and like I was always like searching for something greater, and there's gotta be something, kind of in that vibe. and music was the thing that was the thing for me, but I just didn't know that it was gonna even escalate further, and it's continued just to go, you know. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's wild.
So then you meet Raghu's brother at
Mhm.
school, and then
Yeah.
you eventually you see a picture of Maharaji, and
Yeah.
then you end up going into an ashram, right? You live into an ashram.
Yeah, well, that was a little bit later because I met Sam and was really into Maharaji and Ram Dass, and like was just like, you know, that young. I just felt like I had found my people, you know, I found my home and everything, you know. And so I was
Were
so
you exploring with psychedelics, or how did you get found into Ram Dass?
no, I didn't. The way I found Ram Dass was through that book Miracle of Love, you know.
Oh, cool. That's an interesting way to
Yeah,
find it.
it wasn't like I didn't go to like Be Here Now first and like, you know, then find
Nice.
Maharaji.
Yeah.
It was more like,
That's cool.
wow, I fell in love with Maharaji. And so who's this character, this like white guy, you know, that's like
That's cool.
Ram Dass.
Right.
So I wasn't really experimenting in anything like that at all. I mean, I grew up in South Carolina and I was just like smoking weed a lot, you know, in high school, but it wasn't really like, you know, LSD or mushrooms,
Right.
anything like that was like, seemed like so foreign when I was in South Carolina because it was just like beer and whatever.
Yeah.
But then
Chewing tobacco.
Yeah. Then I went to you know, art school, and that's when I ate mushrooms for the first time. And then I remember my 11th grade year, I was like really into eating mushrooms. And that was really like, you know, coming from a prep school, small town kind of, I don't know, just environment. Mushrooms really kind of like pushed me down the, you know, or broke down a lot of walls. And that's when I started like, you know, getting into Ram Dass. But I wasn't interested in Ram Dass because of like psychedelics. I was just interested in Maharaji. So anything that had to do with Maharaji, I just dove into, and that's why I loved Ram Dass. You know, I wasn't really into Ram Dass because of all the work he was doing with psychedelics, like because for some reason after my 11th grade year, like everything kind of just like stopped with using that type of stuff, and I was kind of committed to like this sense of like purity. Not that mushrooms are like impure or anything, but just kind of like I want to realize this without anything else. So that's how that kind of, I guess, happened. And then when
and the mushrooms are interesting because they at least give you the possibility that, okay, here are the capacities of which I can reach. I mean, because people say the same kind of, like yogis say, I can get there without anything. I mean, that's not an uncommon thing to say. So that's why I think mushrooms are good for people that are coming from such a foreign yogic culture where we have no traditions to connect with any altered states or higher realms. So the mushroom's good for at least showing us the possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what it did. I mean, I was like, never knew that those.
Because I mean, Ram Dass did the same thing. He stopped using psychedelics too.
Right.
He said, I trusted the mushroom, and then it led me to Maharaji.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. But without that period, without that medicine at that point in my life, I don't think I would have been able to, I don't know. I don't think I would have been able to break down a lot of stuff that probably would have taken a lot longer, you know? So I was really thankful for that period, you know, of my life. But then, to answer your question, then after high school, that's when I found this ashram and this Kali temple and started going a lot. And I didn't move in. It wasn't like I'm going to move in and like live this austere life. It was because like I ran out of money and I was broke and I couldn't pay rent. And they said, hey, just like stay with us. You're here every day anyway. Just stay with us until you can get back on your feet. There was like no pressure. It was like 2 weeks, month, year. And I just moved in, and then I just stayed there for like 6 years, 7 years.
6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, because let me think.
What
6 years. 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
was it like?
It was really interesting. I mean, I think that every like ashram and like whatever spiritual community has different, obviously people and rules, and so it's like you can't really, I feel like, say this is how ashram life is. And I was also living like a very different life too, because I was like going out on tour and like, playing music and stuff, and then I'd like come back and like kind of be on this totally other schedule. But the community there was a small, only people that lived there were 2 monks and the founder. They never like pushed me into like living a certain type of way or following any type of rules. There's the basic rules of like, whatever, no drugs on the property and like, just basic things, but like they weren't like, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. Sometimes I'd sleep into like 11 because, they respected my, I guess, creative process, because I'd be up at night in my little room, like making music till like 2 a.m. So I don't know if I'm the best person to ask like how ashram life was, because I wasn't, but in my experience, like to be on the road and then like come back into this environment that was just so charged with sadhana and love and, worship, and it was just so nurturing and beautiful, so, and I just was so inspired like all the time. It was like I was living in another universe when I came back, because I didn't like to leave the ashram. I was just like kind of introverted, which I am kind of, so yeah, it was interesting, but I don't know if I'm the best person to be like, this is how ashram life was.
What about, were they teaching you different meditations and stuff like that?
The main focus,
or at least like introducing you to puja?
Yeah. So I was learning so much every day. I was so fast. I was so eager. I was so hungry to like learn about every, like, at that point I was like, I was learning. So I wanted to learn about every tradition, and what are the, Aghoris about? What are the Vaishnavas about? What are the Naga Babas about? What are these? I loved it all. I loved learning about all the different traditions. And I was really like, I was brought to a Kali temple, I was brought to Ma. So I was so in love with Ma, and never knew that you could think of God as a woman, because I grew up in this kind of very, straight Christian. I mean, my family wasn't hardcore Christian, but it was just South Carolina. It's like Bible Belt. Like, this is what it is, So my mind was being blown every day, but I was, the main emphasis at that temple is puja, is ceremony. So I was learning about puja, and then I learned how to perform puja. And it was just really amazing to serve Ma in that way, come off the road or whatever and live there and learn how to do this practice that was, passed down from the main pujari of the Dakshineshwar Kali temple in Calcutta that we have, very close ties to. So it was just this whole stream of tradition, and so most of the emphasis was on puja and like ceremony, fire ceremony, and they were very dedicated to authenticity and preserving the that puja culture. So yeah, puja has been performed there every day for, I forget when Ma came, the image of, but it's been like, I think almost 20 years, every single day, so it's really a special place to be.
Yeah. Something I kind of find interesting after spending time I was living with this Shibibo shaman in the Shibibo. I don't know if do you know what the Shibibo tribe is?
No, it's South America?
They live, yeah, it's in Peru. So they live in the Amazon. I mean, they're not strict. They kind of have progressed into the cities and stuff now, but their main communities are in the Amazon, and a big part of their spiritual practice is ceremony. And I find that we really lack the emphasis on that here. And even people that are into yoga and stuff like that, it's more of this like, you sit down and you be quiet. But I feel like the whole ceremony is a really important to invoke, to even just get you into and to be able to sit down.
Yeah. I mean, I think ceremony, and I mean, to follow up on that point, just in respect to everything in our lives, when we look at like these shamanic traditions or indigenous traditions or whatever, there's so much ceremony for like a coming of age ceremony, or, naming a child ceremony. In India, they have the rice feeding ceremony. There's just so much, and it's like these markers of the spirit or something, and maybe some of them seem, insignificant and like, why is this important? But like when they're taken away and we see that they're, or we live in a culture like the West, where those aren't really performed as much, I think you can feel the difference.
Do we have any?
I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about like, if you're Jewish, like you have like a bar mitzvah, but like, I don't think
21 becoming 21.
Becoming 21. That's, I mean, I guess that could be a ceremony. I was in India for my 21st birthday by myself.
Wow.
So I was in Calcutta at the Dakshineshwar. At the temple.
So do you know Carl Ramgovind or Carl Golombesky?
Carl. How would I know him?
Ramdas retreats or something. But he goes to that same temple. Like, you inspired him
right, he does.
to go to that temple. He was at the same Ojai retreat that we all met at.
He works with Beyonce?
Carl.
Yeah, I don't know if you...
God, why don't I know Carl?
Yeah, he does this. He's got a job. Like, I don't know if you have someone, but Beyonce has someone who does her live vocal effects and gets paid.
Oh, shit, I gotta find me one of those. Salary. Well, I can't afford that, but
he flies around on Beyonce's planes with her.
Oh man, I gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, with
guys.
like 80 other
He was at the Ojai retreat with us, the first one.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So anyways,
really cool guy.
He went to that temple in Kolkata, and he goes to the temple. It's in Laguna Beach.
Yeah,
is that where
Laguna
it is?
Beach.
Yeah, and like he got me to follow their Facebook page, and they do like Sunday darshan or like teachings, and they were doing this.
Keep going. Sorry.
I was just gonna say they were doing this thing on puja where they went for weeks going over like every step, and it's like so important,
Yeah. I was. That's my teacher who taught me.
Yes.
My first guru, and he is so knowledgeable in that tradition. That's his main thing. He just loves puja and all the intricacies, and again, so dedicated to doing it correctly and with the proper attitude, but that's funny that I did meet him, but again, I had just gotten back from India, I remember, and I was like kind of like, whoa, I'm in this house and there's all these people, and like I forget like who I like exactly met.
It turns into a blur.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it turns into a blur.
Especially being on tour and stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a stupidly good memory. My wife always like almost complains, but I can just remember like the weirdest shit. But
did you ever fall for any fake babas? You ever get sucked into that?
I mean, I don't want to speak ill of anybody.
Yeah, of course.
But I do. I mean, I definitely like looked up to a lot of people, even in the Maharaji kind of circle, just to be honest, that I was just like, whoa, and then when I met them, I was just really let down. But obviously that's like a huge issue. I was actually just talking about it with my wife last night a little bit. It's especially, I think, now in these times, like, of this just kind of like guru marketplace, and like, it's so hard, it's so confusing for us to know who to not like follow, but like, just like, if you fall in love with somebody, I think it's just about falling in love with somebody. I don't want to say follow, I think it's kind of weird, but like, you fall in love with someone, even if they're not a guru or like whatever, they could just be a friend or like whatever. You fall in love with somebody, and then that person, whatever, does something that maybe is outside of your image of them or lets you down. It's just so it's hard to navigate. I've met so many I personally haven't, I've been, I think, lucky. I'm very grateful to I guess have just humble teachers, but I unfortunately know a lot of friends that had like very bad personal experiences, like very bad, like sexual, like misconduct, or just all sorts of shit, so it's really hard to deal with. I mean,
yeah,
especially when it comes to like something as fragile as like spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the tough thing.
That's when you're really vulnerable to someone and they exploit that for some weird sexual thing or something. Yeah,
because it's when it has to do with the spiritual, obviously it's like, there's just any old Joe Schmo, you're like, oh, whatever, he's a horny bastard or whatever, but when you're with somebody that it has to do with, really just opening up your heart and kind of leading you down a path that it's, I don't know.
Like,
it's just,
if they take brahmacharya vows in India, I mean, that's actually something you can go to jail for.
Really?
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy.
I mean, that part, I think, one of my teachers one time said you can't force renunciation. And I think a lot of us Westerners have this like grand idea of what it means to like live a spiritual life. And in order to do that, we have to like cut off parts of ourselves or like suffocate ourselves. I've done it, I'm sure a lot of us have done it in some way or another. And that just only can bring ruin. I think it's better to be honest about who you are. And, it doesn't mean like, oh, we don't try to and strive to like obviously live a higher way or whatever. But I remember that really, really well. So you can't force renunciation. Even Thakur Sri Ramakrishna says that who was kind of his, Holy Mother said the crown of Sri Ramakrishna was his renunciation. He was just so perfect in that. But even he, who had pretty intense ideas sometimes, he also said like, you should live out your desires, you should exhaust these things. Like, I remember he told the story of when he desired to smoke a hubble bubble, which was like a famous thing, like a bong kind of, that they would smoke tobacco out of, and put on like a silk robe. He had all these interesting ideas, and so he had his attendant go buy a silk robe and a hubble bubble and brought it to him, and he put the silk robe on and he said, "Oh, my mind, this is a silk robe." And then he like lit his hubble bubble, and then he's like, "Oh, my mind, this is smoking a hubble bubble." And then he like fulfilled the desire, and like once he did it, he just threw it away. He didn't ignore, like,
I like that.
It's a cool story in that regard. But it sucks, man. I mean, bottom line.
Yeah, well, like, me and JR did a podcast yesterday with a girl who considers herself an ex-cult member of Nityananda. Do you know who Nityananda is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was telling us all kinds of crazy things like rape, pedophilia, kidnapping. And
we talked for 2 hours and we didn't even get into the murder.
Yeah.
Like,
he's the one that isn't he like in exile in like a country in like Africa or something?
He's in somewhere in South America.
Yeah.
Oh, South America. That's
nobody really knows where
they don't know for sure, but yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend, a Bengali friend, who loves to post videos of some of his speeches and as a joke, but you watch it and you like laugh, but then you're also like horribly disturbed too.
Yeah.
It's like this weird.
Yeah, she was worried that it could turn into like Jonestown or.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
She even said that he idolized Osho and made everybody watch Wild Wild Country.
And L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard. He has all of his books and is into Scientology. And plays some of those tactics on, his devotees.
Yeah, that shit freaks me out, man. I was like, I was so interested for some sick reason. Not sick reason, maybe it was good. Like, I am very interested in like cults and stuff. And like, I remember like the Welcome to Jonestown like documentary, and I've seen it like so many times, but I'd watch it with Swamis in the temple and we would just talk about it. But I think for me, it's just like, I was just like, how did that happen? How did this many people drink Kool-Aid with their children and parents and like that? It just blows my mind. Or like Waco. I've seen a few documentaries about Waco, and then Wild Wild Country was such a good documentary as well. But I've always been like fascinated in that type of thing, or like Drugs Inc. or something, like on Nat Geo, because I'm like, like this is a reality for some people. Like this is where they live, like in their heads and bodies, and it's so far from my like little world of music and like ram, so it's just I don't know, I'm interested in those types of things.
I don't know is it just like some sort of herd mentality that's getting psychologically hijacked by some charismatic guy? And how do people fall for that?
Desire.
Some
people want power
to the point you're drinking Kool-Aid with your kids and stuff.
Yeah, that's where it's like,
like how does that? How does that unfold?
Detached from this reality, for sure.
I have no idea. Just like,
maybe
I think it happens in steps. I think it happens in steps.
It has to, I guess.
Yeah, obviously, because like right away.
12-step process.
Yeah, but that shit was just, that freaks me out.
You follow any of the Epstein stuff?
We just watched that documentary, my wife and I.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of fucked up in a way, because her, obviously it's fucked up, but for us, it was just interesting watching it because my wife's grandparents live in Palm Beach.
Oh, you want to know something crazy? My mom is a vet. She works for a vet just outside in Detroit, and her doctor is the doctor that sold Ghislaine Maxwell the dog to her. So all these photos of Ghislaine Maxwell with that dog is my mom's doctor's dog.
What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's trippy.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for that dog.
You were saying Trevor?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's the same. It was weird for us because they live in Palm Beach, and like everything they were showing, like Emery and I were like, yeah, I know where that is, and we walk right by there like all the time whenever we're visiting like her grandparents or something, and it's so weird we're talking about this because I was talking about it last night with Ems, and I was talking about what is that urge or like desire that comes forth in men, really, when you see a woman or like a beautiful girl or like whatever it is, I was like, I was kind of asking her, like, is it the same for like you guys? Like when you see a man, like, is it just like all your senses kind of like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And she said that she doesn't think it's the exact same. And I think I tend to agree, but, just being influenced by Sri Ramakrishna so deeply, and Maharaji said it a lot too, he said, Kamini Kanchan is Maya, and unfortunately that word was translated Kamini as woman, but it actually doesn't mean that, and it means like lust, that kind of, and then Kanchan is gold, which could be translated to like greed. So it's like, and he said, that's Maya, and when we look out, in the world today, I just find that as time goes on, I'm like, oh shit, like, yeah, Thakur was right. Like, that's just pretty much what it comes down to, is just me and mine. But like specifically with like this idea of just women, I mean, we're talking about Babas or something, it's like that desire is what can bring their downfall like this, and then I was flipping it like, well, what happens if as men or whatever, we were able to see all women as the Divine Mother, like truly, and respect them as such, and divine sisters, and like this, think about how safe they would feel in our world, walking down the street or like whatever it may be. But anyway, we got into this, to bring it back, we got into this really like deep conversation about that subject, and you can see when that feeling is has no boundaries or restrictions. I mean, how fucking dark it can get.
Mm-hmm.
Like so fucking dark. And then just like that fucking island he had, like all the people.
Little St. Peter. That's the name of the island, I think. Little St. Peter Island.
Yeah, but didn't they call it something like super dark and twisted though?
Like Pedophile Island or something?
Pedophile Island or something like that.
Or Lolita or something.
All the people that went there.
Yeah, well, we were actually just before we started recording the podcast, we were looking at Twitter, and I don't know, you use Twitter, right? You ever check what's trending on there?
Not so much.
Right now, Bill Clinton is a pedo is trending with like 300,000 tweets. Mm-hmm. Is number one right now on trending Twitter.
Yeah, because he was there.
26 flights to Epstein's Island. Apparently.
What are you doing 26 times? Like that's a homie at that point. There's no one I'm not friends with that I wouldn't fly. You know what I mean?
But then they just with the woman who's like if not more like twist. I don't know. It just seems like so weird because you don't really know exactly what she did or not. But now it's like they're saying that she was like in on all the
in the depths
actual acts. Like she wasn't just like a recruiter,
right?
Yeah,
for these beautiful, little girls. She was like
number 2 in the pyramid scheme.
Yeah, she was,
or maybe even number 1.
Yeah, who knows?
What if she was? They had some weird domination sub-dom thing going on between him and her.
But the thing I just don't understand is how do you get the royal family? How do you get all these people involved in that?
I mean, that's what blows your mind, though, right? That's why it's so.
It seems in every single expression of like power to that extent of the royal family and the Vatican and the presidents and high-ranking politicians, I don't get why they're all pedophiles. Like,
well, I think like power and
you just have so much money that you run out of things to.
I think it's that money and power. It's that I don't know, obviously, but it's maybe some that is linked so deeply to
so
having
weird.
control.
Just kids, though.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
And the weird thing is like, I remember Alex Jones saying this kind of stuff 10 years ago, and I'm not like a big Alex Jones guy or anything like that, but 10 years ago when he was saying that they're all pedophiles, that was a ridiculously insane thing to say. And they are. And he was saying that they're all doing occult rituals and stuff, and they're drinking baby blood.
What?
Did you see the video?
Jesus.
Yeah, apparently. Do you know what adrenochrome is? JR,
Jesus,
you know what that is?
Dakota.
Did you see the? No, I don't know.
You might know about that more than me.
I saw the video where he snuck into the place where they meet up in the redwoods.
I did that. I snuck in there too.
Did you see anything?
No, there was no people there when I snuck in, but I did sneak in there twice.
He snuck in during the festival, and they had like a giant owl deity.
Yeah,
thing.
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, Bohemian Grove.
I don't know about any of this that you're talking
So-
about.
Oh yeah,
And I think I'm good.
It's about the
I think I'm
only
good.
legit
Yeah.
thing
Dakota's
that
like,
he's
so
done.
I'm like, no. I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's
just
interesting. There's
so weird.
photos of like Bill Clinton there sitting next to George Bush during 2002. And I don't know how many other people, because I don't know the other famous people that were there, but they were all famous, powerful people that go to meet and then do weird rituals and do some sacrifice of fake sacrifice, possibly
to a giant owl.
Yeah, and then they all
Yeah,
leave,
and it's
and
real.
nobody knows what it's about, and they deny it. There's like,
Well, I looked at the history. So the history of the Bohemian Grove was that it started as a club for artists. So it was like these artists would go there and they would do these theatrical performances, and it was just like a way for artists to lose themselves.
Where is it? Where is it?
It's about an hour outside San Francisco in California.
Okay.
And yeah, so it started off as just being a place for creatives to lose themselves in a kind of world of whatever,
Right.
you know? And then somehow it just became this thing where politicians and CEOs, it became a kind of club.
Right.
And now they carry out these eccentric pagan rituals where they're talking to nature spirits and doing mock human sacrifices. And it's like totally 100% documented, and people admit that they go there.
Right.
But it's just so bizarre. It's like, what are you politicians? What are you guys getting up to? Doing burning fake bodies and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Even for theatrics, it's I mean, come on. It's a little dramatic.
Wait, so it's still there?
It's still there, yeah. And there's about a 50-foot owl statue. If you sneak in, you can go see it, where they do the sacrifice in front of.
Wait, so you snuck in there?
Yeah, I snuck in there. I mean, I hate saying it live, or like on YouTube, but yeah, I did twice.
Oh, man, that's why I love you, Dakota, because you're like, you're. I mean, we've only met maybe, I don't know, a couple.
We saw each other in Costa Rica.
Yeah, but you were on like the side of the stage in Costa Rica, so I was playing, and I was like, "Hey, there's Dakota, cool," like, but like we haven't like, you know.
Yeah, this is the deepest we've gotten.
And, but I follow you like on Instagram and Twitter and like all your journeys, and I'm just like, yo, you just like go into some far out shit, but like in a really like honest and like humble way. And I think that's what is so important. And I feel like you don't have a lot of fear about like some things like that. Maybe a lot of us would be like, I would never go into that situation, but the way that you're able to go into it with like a little bit of humor, but also like mysticism and humbleness and honesty, it's just refreshing.
Cool, I appreciate you see that.
But like stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, Dakota's been there. He snuck in twice. JR and I are like, we're his friends. But that's far out.
I'm actually working on like a thing, like a little short documentary about the Aghori. You mentioned that you kind of got into that a little bit.
Yeah, I have a crazy Aghori story.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I think you'll like this. Our ashram in India is in Allahabad. Have you been to Allahabad?
Where the Mahakumba Mela is? Chitrakoot? It's about like 2 hours outside Chitrakoot. Yeah, we stopped there once.
You went, JR?
Yeah.
Did you go?
Were we in Chitrakoot together?
Yeah. I don't know if you went to Allahabad at the same time as me, because you like got to the hotel late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Wait,
was crazy.
where'd you stay in Allahabad, JR?
So we just took a train to Allahabad and overnight, and then got taxis up to Chitrakoot from there. And
Oh, okay. So you
it was right
okay.
before, though. It was right before the Kumbh Mela, and like
Okay.
I don't know, they were preparing for it, And
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
like, I honestly thought it looked like a shit show. Like, I was like, how are they gonna prepare for this many people? Like, they're behind schedule.
I was there. Yeah, it's interesting because Allahabad's kind of like home. Like Calcutta and Allahabad are like my two homes, I guess, in India, and I know it well. But yeah, we were there for because every year, every 12 years, right? They have the Kumbh, but or Mahakumba, but every year they have the Magh Mela, which is like a mini Kumbh Mela. So
is it still big?
Yeah, it's very big, but not nearly like where the Kumbh's at,
So I think the Mahakumba Mela is like 21 million people or something ridiculous. It's the biggest religious event.
Yeah,
ever,
I've heard so many numbers, but when I was in there for the Mahakumba in 2013, on the main bathing day, they said there was 30 million people there. And it was insane. Like, I was like,
that would be a cool drone shot.
It was, I know, right? It'd be crazy. But anyway, I spend a lot of time there, and when we do, we usually go bathe in the Sangam. So people that aren't maybe familiar with it, the Sangam is where the Ganga and the Yamuna meet, and then there's the underground mythical Saraswati River there, and it's really a holy place to bathe. And a lot of yogis believe that that's like the third eye. So the three rivers represent like the three nerve currents, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. And so there's all these, whatever far out mystical things about it. But anyway, we would go bathe all the time down there every day at the Sangam. Our ashram's like a 10-minute walk to the Sangam. And I remember I was down there, I went with my teacher, and like we would take turns bathing because, one person would like watch our stuff, and then like go bathe, and then they'd come back, and then like I'd go bathe, whatever. So I remember that day I went first. I went and bathed, and he stayed and was watching the gear. And then I came out and I like sat down, on the bank, and while he went and bathed, and people kind of gather around you a little bit because you're just like white, and you know how it is in India. Sometimes they just come and they just like look at you, like, and they just don't. It's just what it is, But also in a place like that where there's really not a lot of Westerners, like. Anyway, a little crowd was like gathering, but I was like, whatever, I'm used to this right now. Just like, I'm gonna sit and like do my japa or whatever. And out of the corner of my eye, this like Aghori Baba is like walking along the banks, and like far out Aghori Baba. Like you can tell from a distance, the vibe's already like, whoa, just like super disheveled. Wearing black dhoti, like all sorts of malas, like skull, the whole thing. Ash all over him. And he comes up and he sees like the little crowd, and he like comes up to me. And I'm not as like fearless as Dakota. So I was like, just like, oh, I'm just doing my thing, like doing my japa, whatever. And he like sits down next to me, like right up close to me, and he's like, trying to have a conversation, like, I Aghori, Aghori Baba, Aghori, and kept telling me Aghori Baba, Aghori Baba, and I was trying to be, polite, because I have heard and learned of a lot of stories where people think that they can just shoo them away, and one little curse from them can, whether you believe them or not. I mean, I've heard of a lot of shit, so I'm like kind of trying politely to be like, hey, I am, pranams, but like I'm trying to do my japa. That was my excuse. I'm like trying to do my japa, but he like wouldn't like have it, and so more and more people were like gathering around, and then I was getting like, oh god, this is like it's becoming a thing, shoot, and he like pulled back his dhoti
to show his
like
dick.
And he had a like chain belt like around his like waist, like a big like chain, like you lock a bike or something. But then the chain, when he pulled back his dhoti, it went like down to his dick, and he had a big silver ring like through his penis, and he like yanked it, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm trying to do my job, like I'm trying to do my job or whatever, right? But then he had a necklace of vertebrae, and like in the middle of the vertebrae he had like this huge bone, like it must have been like a femur, like it was so big, and he like took the femur and like was touched it to my forehead, like it was like some type of blessing or something. But that's when I like had enough, because I didn't want any like whatever vibe, And luckily this policeman came in at that time and like broke up the crowd, and like I was able to kind of like disperse. But for like 3 days after that, I just had the worst migraine, like headache, but like a different type of headache. Like I'm not trying to like make shit up. Like I just was like, I couldn't get that energy off me, and it was so like, it was really troublesome. I was like all worried, but like I just remember that so well when he pulled back his dhoti and like yanked it. I was like,
do you think that hurt?
Fuck yeah, it hurt, JR. What are you talking about? I don't care like what state of like meditation you're at when that happens. That fucking hurt, dude. Oh my god. Well, that's my big like Aghori. That was my Aghori story, but he like reeked of alcohol and like the whole thing. But what's your Aghori story? What's your Aghori story?
Okay, I'll give you one. So I was in Varanasi, and this is 2018 when we were filming this. Like we went to Varanasi with the intention to try to meet some Aghoris and just film a little interesting thing about them.
Right.
And I like flew out like a videographer and everything. So like this is gonna be.
Yeah, didn't you just post something about this?
Yeah. It's taken us a long time to kind of pull it together, but now the Corona's happening, we all got some downtime to kind of work on it. But we went looking for some Aghori, and we ended up meeting this guy Kashi Baba, who claimed to be an Aghori. I don't really think he was. He was just kind of just a guy that would say he was anything for money. And so Kashi Baba was kind of giving us the history of Varanasi and telling us about the eternal flame and giving us some Aghori stuff, like Aghoris. This is kind of some of the rituals that we do. He was talking about how they covered themselves in ash, and he went over to one of the fires of the bodies that were burning next to the Ganga. This is right at the burning ghats of the Ganga. We're sitting here next to this guy, and he's just like he got crazy eyes. It looks like he's just been through some wild shit in his life. And he goes over to this pile of where a dead person was just burning, and he has like a newspaper, and he starts scooping up ash. And as he's scooping up ash, his robe catches on fire in the back. And I'm like, Kashi Baba, you're on fire. So that was like the first omen. That was the first omen of the night. And then he like tapped it out. And then he gives me this ash as like a gift. And he takes some of it and he rubs it on my forehead. And anyway, so I have him covered in ash at this point. He just caught on fire. And
big deal.
And we're watching bodies burn next to us. Yeah, human ash is just...
Yeah.
And so we wanted to learn more about what is called Shava Sadhana, which is the corpse.
The corpse
practice where they meditate on top of a dead body. And he was like, "Oh, I'll do that for you." So we were like, "Okay." He was like, I did it with National Geographics before, and they gave me like $30,000. And I was like, "Okay, well, I don't have $30,000, but like, I'll give you $100." And he was like, "Okay." So we were going to meet up with him the next day so that we could go across the Ganga and try to find a body that got washed up.
Mm-hmm.
But the night before, I was like taking a shower in our shower in like the little Indian bathroom. So like the mirror in the sink is directly in front of the shower, so I can like looking at myself while I'm showering, and I have still covered in human ash. So I'm watching myself wash this ash off my face, and just really going through like just a spectrum of emotions and like the main visions I was getting as I was like seeing this was just all the times I snuck out of my house as like a little kid to go hang out with a girl, or all the mischievous stuff I got into, or all the times I got my heart broken, or all the times I did something crazy. And I'm just like, man, everyone does this. Every human being on earth has gone through these kind of things that we all go through. And I'm just washing it off my face right now. It was a really like profound moment for me just to be like, man, it all ends in just, kind of ashes and a moment just being washed off the face of some white guy in an Indian shower,
But was that moment like when you're like, oh, it all just ends like this? Was it a moment of sadness, or was it a moment of just like
maybe
peace,
bittersweet?
or was it a moment of bittersweet?
So it's not like it's super sad, and it's not that it's super happy. It's just like it's both.
Yeah.
So then,
that's really
the next day.
It's good. I like
the next
that.
day we go out to meet Kashi Baba in the morning, and we get on the boat, and we go across the river and start looking for a dead body, and we don't end up finding anything. So, but it's still the whole journey was crazy of us like walking around. We're like looking. We find some dead stuff floating in the water, like dead dog or something.
Yeah.
We found dead monkey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's.
But maybe it was just all for that moment in the shower. I don't know. That's pretty deep.
It was really deep.
I remember when I went to Tara Pit. Have you heard of Tara Pit?
I don't think so.
No.
It's a famous temple in Bengal to Ma Tara, who's kind of an aspect of Kali, but
Tara is the same.
Yeah. So there's a cremation ground next to the temple, and it's way out in the villages, but it's really famous in Bengal and the world, really, but for like Devi worshippers. But almost more famous than the actual temple is the cremation ground, and so many famous siddhas and saints have practiced there, like Anandamayi Ma, and just the saint of that area was named Bhamakepa. So as Sri Ramakrishna is to like Kali, Bhamakepa was to Ma Tara. But I had this, just being at that Kali temple in Laguna and just really getting into like whatever, all that stuff. When I learned about Ma Tara and that place, Tara Pit, I just, how it goes. You get an attraction for a place, and I began reading up on it and all this stuff, and just having dreams, and like felt the call of that place. So my friend took us there, and my Baal teacher, singer, took us there. Who's Bengali, so that really helped. But I remember before going, I was like, whoa, cremation ground. Like, I've never like been in a cremation ground, like perhaps at that, up until that time, and I had heard like with that cremation ground, there's my friend who had been before, she says it's absolutely charming. And I was like, charming? Like, what? But long story short, when we went there, I didn't want to leave. We stayed kind of through the night, and I just felt so clean. I remember I felt so much. That's why I asked you what that feeling was when you were, rinsing the ash off, because I didn't expect that. I didn't know if I was going to be scared or.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that kind of stuff throws you into the array of emotions. Watching bodies. Is
yeah,
it similar to Varanasi?
It's.
I mean, in terms of their bodies burning.
It's much
openly
smaller.
And stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But the crazy thing is there's a lot of babas and tantrics that live in the cremation ground. So they've built like their own like little bamboo huts.
Wow, that's
and then
cool.
there's like baal singing, and then there's like families having picnics.
Yeah.
Like it's so fucking like what the hell, But like that's why when I was there, I was like, how am I feeling this way? But I didn't want to leave because like, for moment, I was just like, oh my God, I feel so at peace.
I'm like foot tapping in Varanasi. I'm like just counting down the time, ready to go. Varanasi is like,
oh, to get out, or you want to go?
Yeah, to leave.
To get out, to leave.
Wow.
But this place sounds a little bit more low key, because the thing is, like, when you're hanging out,
well, it's not a city.
Yeah.
Like Benares is like a
you
city. You
can't just sit there and watch
like
the bodies without being completely hassled by every person that walks by.
Yeah. No, it's like it's out in the village.
Yeah.
It's out in the jungle.
I'd love to go see this.
Wow.
Yeah, you should look it up. It's Pith is PITH, but we could talk about it further. Just about the significance. It's really it's hard to go into it, but it's really means a lot to me. But it's definitely, it's not as similar to Benares in that way because it's a town. Originally there was nothing. Yeah, well, originally there was nothing around there. It was just the temple out in the jungle. And now, obviously, with the popularity of the temple and stuff, there's a little town that has like formed around the temple.
Yeah.
But no, so it's not like a city at all or anything like that, But it's a really, really powerful place. And
do you find Hinduism to be a shamanic religion?
I don't know how to answer that, just because, as you know, like Hinduism is such a
very vast,
broad. It's so broad, right?
But as far as the core tenets go, it seems to me, because this is like something I've been trying to kind of bridge the language between like shamanic cultures and Hinduism. Because to me, I mean, as far as the tenets of not even just Hinduism, but like any of the Eastern practices, are all about entering a trance state, going out in isolation, communicating with different spirits, like these Aghoris. They claim to communicate with directly communicate with things.
Right.
And this is the same stuff that the people in the Amazon are talking about. They go out in isolation, sit in the jungle, and maybe they'll eat some plants, or they'll just completely maybe fast. And they have this, they go into meditations, and they have the same, they come back saying, I seen a snake goddess with snake arms. And Yeah.
I mean, I tend to, like I said, it's so vast, but like, I feel like a lot of the, the Baba traditions, the, Juna Akara, these Naga Baba traditions, or different sadhu traditions are very, very shamanic for sure. With not only just like, unfortunately, I think in the West now, when we hear shamanism, we just think plants, but
shamanism could be anything from dancing around a fire or fasting, yoga.
So, but I think in like a lot of the Naga Baba traditions, like there's a great emphasis on shamanism, their practice of their practice of unity with their beloved or
lots of breath
Shiva
work.
Or Shakti. Did you ever do you know Baba Rampuri?
No, I don't know who that is.
Oh, bro, you gotta read this book called Baba, Autobiography of a Blue-Eyed Yogi. He went to India, Western guy, went to India in like, I think it was either the 70s or like early 80s. I think it was the 70s. I think he was like before Ram Dass and like all this stuff, but he like got initiated by a high like guru from the Juna Akara, like Naga Baba's tradition, and he lived like a Naga Baba, and he talks a lot about the shamanism aspect.
That's cool.
of of that tradition. But it's a really fascinating story too.
What's his name? Rampuri?
But Rampuri, yeah, Baba Rampuri. Yeah, you know, I feel like those traditions are like perhaps more shamanic than say like a Vedantic kind of tradition. I don't know. It's hard to say because shamanism
is it's equally as broad as Hinduism.
Yeah, mystical. I think for shamanism, I just think more of like working with nature.
Yeah.
And I know that that Naga Baba tradition place emphasis on that, you know. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, that's my professional opinion.
I think Hinduism, like at its root, was shamanic.
Well, I mean,
you know, before.
The thing is people have this idea that when you go to India, you're going to meet shamans that are just, or not shamans, sorry, but you're going to meet babas that are just kind of meditating and very priestly. But when you go hang out in these sadhu circles, they're all just like men sitting around getting as high as possible, smoking chillers.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, JR.
Oh, no, it's
What
fine.
were you saying, JR?
Oh, I mean, I was just saying that, like, at its root, Hinduism is shamanic, and like all these traditions, like when you get into like the Naga Babas, it's pretty raw, you know, like the stuff that they do, and it goes back really, really, really far.
Yeah,
you know, like if you go to like a more popular place, like I've been to Amma's ashram, and it's like more, it's still ritual and stuff, but it's just more, I don't know how to describe it, organized, and because of the amount of people, it can't be quite the same, like that you get with a small circle of people. So I think that's like a key difference where people ask the question, is this even shamanic? But it really is.
And another emphasis I found, or like a connection that I found interesting between the Shabibos and like sadhus, is the emphasis on singing with the focus on an object to heal you. So they'll sing about these different things with the intention to kind of invoke it spiritually to heal you. So like, for example, we would chant Ram or like Hanuman Chalisa with sort of the intention to heal us from, you know, even just if it's like to clear our minds. They'll do the same thing, but they'll sing about fighting off these negative spirits using little pistols and stuff. So it's interesting.
Right.
It's cool.
Well, I think that's the same, like, right, when
or
you
they call
think about,
Jesus
like,
too a lot. That's an interesting thing. In ayahuasca ceremonies, you'll hear the shamans singing, like, Jesus Christo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same when you have, like, you know, Maharaji they would have these, like, you know, recitations of the Ramayana, and it's a story, you know, but, like, why would they do that? You know, it creates a vision in one's mind, which consequently, I think, creates an atmosphere around you. Even in more of a Shakta tradition, right? They read the Chandi, right? Which is another story, and talk about guns and weapons. It's not as poetic as the Ramayana. The Ramayana is like glorious. It's, you know, poetry from Tulsidas, but with the Chandi, it's very much like war, you know, weapons and arrows and spears and all this stuff. But what happens when you read it and you like, it creates an effect, you know, in your mind and a vision. And so I guess that's similar in a way with what you're talking about. But that, as you know, it's just another example. Shamanism is storytelling, right?
Yeah.
Shamanism
is
invoking
magic through ceremony.
Yeah.
To what extent do you think some of these cities and stuff are real? Like magic powers that you can get from yoga and how far do you think that stuff goes?
I definitely think it's real. I mean, I think just, you know, obviously being, you know, loving Maharaji, these things were demonstrated quite often, but as far as like personally like seeing anything to that extent, that's not the thing that really impresses me, I guess. Like even with Maharaji, that's not really like what impresses me about Maharaji. The thing that impresses me is the overwhelming sense of love that wipes away all reason and thought, and that intimacy is what impresses me.
And that's a harder thing to achieve than probably a superpower.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, I think with, Maharaji used his siddhis, not obviously to show off, or anything like that. Maharaji used his siddhis, I think, in service of carrying out divine work, and he tried to hide them as much as possible. But being so magical or that he was, it's hard for them to come, not to come out and be shown, like Sri Ramakrishna, he said that when he asked Ma, when he would talk to the Divine Mother, he asked Ma to, about siddhis and this type of thing. Ma revealed to him I think he described it quite graphically. I think he said a prostitute appeared in like a black sari and like was holding her own like feces, and like Ma was like, this is like, you should kind of like look on siddhis as like the filth, like that filth, like that's not what's important, like what's, and so Thakur prayed like, oh Ma, like only give me love and devotion, and and they all warned about these things. I think even Maharaji, because it's like those it's things can easily, right, it can easily sway you from the ideal, but like I said earlier, like that's not what the highest like people I think that I've like had the fortune of meeting in my life, it's not their like whatever magical thing that like impresses me. It's that just incredible love that they are able to show, that like free, spacious love, So I think even with siddhis, like I would almost be less trusting, if I actually met somebody where I like saw some crazy stuff, I would almost be like, I don't know if I want to
practice some dark. That's the dark art.
yeah. I don't know.
I think.
What were you saying, JR?
I was going to say, like, in a category too, is Maharaji always talked about truthfulness. And if somebody expresses the ability to love, but then they express the ability not to be truthful, then that also makes me kind of go away, push away from them. Because that was an experience. Yeah, that was an experience that we had with someone. And it's just like, loving everyone isn't everything. Like I heard Muji say on Raghu's podcast that he was on, he was like, I've never seen a bird fly with one wing, and if like the wings are love and truth, essentially that was what he was using as the metaphor. So
well, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's really, I didn't think about it like that. That's beautiful. Thakur used to pray to the Divine Mother, take my righteousness and unrighteousness and give me pure love for your lotus feet, take my, whatever virtue and vice, and give me pure love for lotus feet. But then he said, when he got to Mother, give me, or like take truth and untruth, he said, I couldn't give up truth. He said, that's the one thing I couldn't like, give up. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That's I never thought of it like that, because that has to go if not together. Maybe that's more, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you have some people like in our Bhakti community who are like, oh, I don't like hanging out with Buddhists because they're too heady. And that's, they just don't like people that are too in truth and not as much in their heart. And it's not that they're not in their heart, but it's just coming from a Bhakti place.
Yeah.
It's different, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we gotta have that balance. I've even heard Sadhguru take it to another level and say, like, with your energy, you need to focus on that, like on a tantric level. And then, it was like Yana, Tantra, Bhakti, and, just like doing asanas so your body can be comfortable, just, you know, sitting, being alive. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, just like his perspective of combining all of those different branches of yoga in your own way to find your balance, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a mystical question. So, do you prescribe to like the Advaita? Everything is ultimately one thing expressing itself through multiple ways. Is that the kind of philosophy you prescribe to?
That's a good question. I've always had trouble kind of like, I guess, like defining my like outlook or something. And that used to cause me like a great deal of distress because like for some reason I was like kind of, I thought that was like my identity.
Yeah,
you know?
I thought through that too.
Yeah, and it's just like, what am I? You know, am I this? Am I that? And why can't I find like, I don't know, like, it's always been ever since I was a young child. Like I remember, like when I was a kid, like 7 or 8, like every single day, I would like always like worry about what I wanted to be when I grew up, and like every day it would change, you know. And it was like this weird like identity thing, and not knowing like who I am, or I don't know, something like that. But then, yeah, when it came to I guess spirituality, I kind of went through that too, you know.
Well,
I even had like this I even had this like weird like confusion, like, wow, like I really love Maharaji, but like I'm like really into Kali. Like, is that okay that I'm not like,
you're cheating?
You know, like more into Han. It was, you know, you just, your brain creates all such bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, lately, and I think this has only happened quite recently, really, like I've kind of like said, you know, fuck off to that story. And I just, you know, I love Sri Ramakrishna. I love Maharaji. I love the Divine Mother. I don't know what that makes me. I don't know if that makes me a Hindu or a Shakta or like a Vedanta. Like, I don't know.
There was something Alan Watts said
I
that was cool.
I just love them.
Alan Watts said, well, he was reading a letter that he had gotten from some Zen Buddhist, and the guy said something like, Dear Alan Watts, I'm writing you to let you know that I have left the monastery to become completely attached to everything I can in life. And I was like, there's almost like a freedom in just like recognizing that, I don't know, like we focus so much on detachment, and I do think that there is like a truly profound experience you can have when you really detach from things. But also like just like loving it all and embracing everything as it comes, and just like yes, I'm attached to this moment, I love it. There's like something equally as profound in that, I feel. And like you saying, like I love Aghori Baba, I love Jesus, I love ice cream, whatever. It's all
Yeah. There's 2 stories that are coming to mind. One is with Sri Ramakrishna, when there was a group around him trying to classify him, I guess, right? Because if back in those days, you know, if Vedantins came to him, they thought Sri Ramakrishna was a Vedantin, right? If, you know, Vaishnavas came to him, they thought, oh, he's the greatest Vaishnav. If Shaktas came to him, like this, you know. And I guess there was like some discussion around him and trying to whatever fight or classify over like what his term is or who he is, you know. And when they asked Sri Ramakrishna about it, he just said, I don't know about all these things. All I know is mother and me, you know. And the way he said it with such intimacy that it kind of just shut everybody up. Like, oh shit, like well, you know. It's like, and something that was really healing for me, actually, like really healing, was a story in By His Grace that Dada Mukherjee wrote, one of my favorite books of all time. But when Maharaji passed, you know, Dada, of course, was like Maharaji's hand in a lot of ways, right? Like he was just so close to Maharaji and was completely surrendered to him in all aspects, you know, of his life, you know. But before Maharaji passed, he said, Dada, you stay at home. Dada was like, okay, Maharaji. Like, yes, you know, he had that perfect kind of like resignation, I guess. And he didn't really know what it meant, you know. It's just like, you stay at home, you know. And then after Maharaji passed, Dada said that he tried to continue, you know, to go to his temples up in Kanchi and wherever, you know, Chitrakoot or wherever those places were. And he said he just got so depressed and confused because he didn't know his place anymore because Maharaji wasn't there. And a lot of people criticized him like, oh, Dada's like leaving the Sangha and like all this stuff. And then he remembered, oh, Maharaji told me to stay at home. And he said, now that I'm here, he says, most of my time is spent like in these four walls, you know. And when I first heard that story, I was like, oh, it's whatever. It's an interesting story. But over time, those words stay at home have had like a different effect on me.
Especially right now.
In the sense, yeah, right. But I mean, like, stay at home, because what I would do, my mentality is in trying to figure out who I am or like whatever, you know, you're just looking, you know, out. And you hear somebody's opinion and that kind of turns you over here. Oh, you hear somebody's opinion here. And then like in our age today with like just over information, right? You open up your phone, you're scrolling through whatever, Instagram, you're being flooded with images and opinions and perspectives and all this stuff. You can lose who you are in a way, you know. And but I always put this pressure like, oh, I gotta know, whatever. But then I think about those words, stay at home, you know, and it was like, it's okay to like make your own relationship. Like, it's okay, you know, like just stay at home, stay in your heart, what your relationship is with your own beloved. And that's whatever that is, however your robe of patches fits is correct. You know, it's okay. And it's been so healing for me because I've struggled with that so much, you know, just trying to like force myself into like, oh, I'm this. I'm even like something as silly as like, I'm a Maharaji devotee. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's just interesting, you know. But those two stories I think of a lot in the sense of making it your own, really having your own relationship with your whatever, supreme self, whatever it is, you know. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's good. You know, they're making a movie about Dada.
I heard that. Yeah. I heard that.
What's up with the KK documentary?
I was just about to ask that too. Yeah.
That's on David Silver's computer.
Who's that?
Who's David Silver and how do we find it?
He's like Raghu's old co-host. who's been working on this thing for a long time and took a break from being on Mind Rolling to work on this. And
I filmed some footage
still
for that.
working on it. Yeah, it's a big project. Yeah.
It's an amazing person.
Yeah, KK was a really cool guy. Yeah.
You know, you were talking about ritual, and like KK, I stayed at Raghu's house, and KK stayed there at the same time once. And KK, like, I observed this, and Raghu told me to watch him, so I knew to watch for this. And like, when KK wakes up, or would wake up, he would go pranam to all the deities everywhere on the whole property.
Wow.
Every day, you know, and that was a really interesting ritual for sure.
Yeah, we got to drive him down to, I met him at that house in LA, Budry's house. He came, and I was like, I'm meeting one of my heroes, you know, couldn't believe it. And then I thought, oh man, it'd be amazing if he could like come down to Kali Mandir and see Ma and that whole like space or whatever. And I just asked him, like, he didn't know who I was. I just said, hey, KK, you know, I don't know if you'd like to go see this Kali temple. And he was like, okay, tomorrow. You know, like, didn't know me, nothing. Like, and then the next day, like, got in the car with us, and we drove him down and spent the day with him there. And it was just so amazing. Like, so many stories he told, and just being around him and his character. And I remember when we served him lunch at the temple, he sat on the floor. You know, we offered him a seat, and he said, no, I sit on the floor. And then we offered him silverware, right?
Yeah.
And he said, no, I eat with my hand. And he said, all the deities reside in the fingertips, and they get to eat first.
Wow.
That's why we eat with our hands. And I was like, okay, I'm never going to use a fork and knife again. But just little things like that, just little things that he imparted, not trying to teach anything, just like being in that space of love. And yeah, he was really amazing person. I felt really lucky to meet him.
Yeah,
so that'd be cool to see that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see that. And he's such a big part of the story.
Yeah, huge part, obviously.
He's the reason KD was it the reason Ramdas was able to go there? He's the one that sent the letter or something saying Maharaji doesn't.
Yeah, Ramdas.
Yeah.
KK.
What did he say?
Yeah.
He said like Maharaji doesn't encourage guests to come, but the door is always open.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I wrote a letter to KK in high school.
Wow.
Somehow got his address and was like young and ambitious.
How old are you now?
I'm just gonna write 33, right? 33.
So you've been like
Wow.
down the path, down this for a while.
Dude, nah, bro. I'm a kook.
Yeah.
But I remember I wrote him in high school, like super young and ambitious. I'm gonna write KK, and he fucking wrote me back, man.
You want to know who I wrote in high
And
school?
sent it. Who?
Charles Manson. And he's
You so
and
did.
He sent me a
that
postcard
doesn't surprise me at all. That does not surprise me at all.
He sent me a postcard with some lunatic poem written on it about the trees.
What?
Yep.
You still have
I've
it?
been looking for it. I only have a picture of it on my Facebook. I think someone stole it from me. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know, it is crazy.
Oh man.
Well, have you been working on anything creative or anything? Is there anything that you want to promote to anyone that's watching? You just released a new song last month on Spotify, right?
Yeah. So I released a new single that's it's called My Own. It came out on, I forget, but yeah, about a month ago, I guess. But it's really a special song for me. It was kind of an older song that I've had just kind of on my computer for a while, and then we were able to like really properly record it and put it out. But yeah, I'm really busy right now because we have a new album coming out this fall.
Cool.
And
I got your book right here too.
I recorded it right before like the whole quarantine thing like happened. I remember like I flew home from North Carolina where I was recording it, and I like got home and like whatever, like 2 days later, the whole lockdown thing kind of happened. So we were lucky to kind of get that done. Yeah. But that's going to come out this fall. We have a new single drop in on August 7th. I don't know when this will come out, but so that's coming up. So yeah, we're quite busy right now. Just trying to like gather the artwork right now and get all those components together and like really think about the vision, what this vision's going to like look like, you know. Sonically, it's all there. We finished, you know, mixing it and recording, but now it's kind of like, okay, how's it going to like visually present itself, which takes a lot of work. So, but yeah, we have a new single coming out August 7th, and then the full album will be out hopefully in September.
Nice.
So, yeah, quite busy.
Do you still have any copies of your poetry book?
Yeah, I think we do. I think we may have them on our website. That's one of my favorite projects my wife and I put together of all my poems.
So she took India all of the photos and made the art? Or?
No, those are all my photos.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, those are all my photos, but she edited them and she like designed the book and how it was laid out and really was responsible for putting it together. Yeah, it's just something I thought to put out. Just a lot of
it's cool
poems from my travels there and stuff.
And it's all under Ram Priya instead of Trevor, so it's a Ram Priya book.
Yeah. It's a Ram Priya book.
That's cool.
Well, because I was like really, I've obviously been inspired by those poets of India, like Kabir and a lot of the Baal poets, and their style of poetry. They'd always kind of at the end of their poems have like a conclusion or whatever to their poem. So they'd be like every Kabir song, Kabir says, and then he'd give like the final line. So I was kind of writing like that when in India when I was inspired in that way, and that's why we kind of said it's Ram Priya says. It's not like Ram Priya says. It's not like that, but it's just like just inspired in that way.
Yeah. But I think JR, didn't we get to see some handwritten? What was it? Some handwritten Hanuman.
We saw the
from Tulsi
handwritten. Yeah, Tulsi Das's handwritten original.
Where was that? Was that in Chitrakoot?
Yeah, in Chitrakoot.
Yeah, they have pieces of it spread out in different parts of India, but most of that stuff's in Chitrakoot for the Ramayana.
They let us touch it and everything.
It was interesting.
Was it at a specific ashram or or temple?
It was if you do
pilgrimage called?
Parikrama around this mountain. It's like Ram's mountain. No,
it's where Ram. Isn't it where Ram like cooled? Where Hanumanji like cooled his tail after he burnt Lanka? That temple there. Okay.
I just know, like, when you walk around the mountain, there's like this path, and it's nice, and you come across a temple eventually.
Okay.
At the end, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then they give you these coconuts that you can barely eat, but you feel obligated to eat all of it.
Yeah. I know that feeling there.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Chitrakoot.
Did you ever go to Hampi?
Yeah. I've never been to Hampi. I haven't really gone so much south. I've mainly, all my time is either in Bengal or Allahabad area, or north.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've only been to Chennai and Pondicherry.
Oh, cool. Pondicherry is nice.
Yeah, in the south.
Yep. But Hanuman was supposed to have been born in Hampi.
Oh, okay.
So there's a temple there for Hanuman up on top of the mountain and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful there.
Very beautiful.
I've heard it's.
It might be one of my favorite places in India.
Wow.
Truly, it's like really breathtaking.
Yeah. Hopefully one day we'll be able to go further south.
Do you have any plans? to go to India?
Yeah, I mean, I used to travel there, every year for a while. I'd like, tour all year, and then like January, February, I'd like go to India. That was my thing, just to like, I'd like turn my phone off and just like whatever, disappear. And then we stopped going as often kind of in like 2014 because my health just got kind of bad, and just didn't seem like smart to put myself in that situation. And then, yeah, we went a couple times, 2017, 2018 or 19. So it's been maybe a year or two,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I think about it every day, but I don't know obviously now what the situation is going to look like, but I'm always eager.
Yeah.
Dakota and I were going to go in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
Postponed.
Yeah. Where were you going to go?
We were going to do like rent a bus and bring some friends and drive across Rajasthan.
Oh, yeah. I remember I saw that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just
like 25 people.
Just go on a crazy adventure.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we'll see how it all unfolds.
Crazy times.
See how it all unfolds.
Well, I think we're pushing almost 2 hours. So, is there anything you want to say?
Are we?
What are we at?
No, man. I was like super stoked for this.
Me too. I
was like, this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, me too. And I would live. If you ever want to do another one, we can do as many as you feel.
Yeah, dude, cool. I'm down. I'm so down. I'd be totally down to do more. But yeah, this was super fun, and hopefully people like it. Whatever. Yeah. Or not.
We wanted to ask you a question that never got brought up, but do you about aliens? Like, what do you feel about aliens and UFOs? Yeah,
there's been a lot of. Did you see
so weird. People have been asking me like that question so much. So weird, because I have friends that are like super into that shit, and I just can't hang.
I gotta say, the government just came out and like said some stuff about like they found some ship that
off-world
they don't believe was from the government. It's crazy
from the Pentagon.
They would say such a thing.
Where was that?
The Pentagon released 3 videos 2 months ago saying these are confirmed videos of unidentifiable flying objects that are nothing that we know of from any military or anything. And then about a week ago, a Pentagon consultant came out and said that we have vehicles, off-worldly vehicles, that the government has off-worldly vehicles.
But why would they say that? Like, what's the point? What's the point of them saying that?
Some people think that it's to cover up some of the pedophilia stuff, and that they're like just going to some crazy extent.
Like kind of changing directions.
Yep. Also, like an alien invasion would probably stop the race war. Like if we were all
an alien invasion would stop every war.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so there's ulterior motives.
Maybe, or it's real.
Who knows?
Or it's just,
I know. 2020 is just the craziest year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So no UFOs. You never seen a UFO or anything?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
That I know of, but I have lots of friends that have had experiences and stuff. But
what about ghost? You ever seen a ghost?
No. I don't think so. I mean, who knows? But I'd much rather believe in ghosts before UFOs. I don't know if that's weird. I think I'm just concerned with like the experience here, and like I don't know. It's weird. I just think like okay.
I get what you mean.
My mind it doesn't go there naturally. I'm just more concerned with this own experience here.
I think some people, for sure, like aliens triggers the same thing in their mind that like makes them creative and makes them think like the same way you feel when you think about God,
Right. For sure. Yeah, I definitely don't knock it. It's just like my temperament doesn't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's another conversation. That's our next 3-hour conversation. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on here. It was cool to finally get to have a proper conversation with you.
I know there's so much more we can talk about, but we'll definitely have to do it again.
Yeah.
I was definitely looking forward to it. And
Cool. I'm glad to hear
appreciate all the good work you guys
that. You too.
do and are doing. It's really just
Big
inspiring.
fans.
Yeah,
You're
it's
inspiring.
So,
You know, I took singing lessons like a year and a half ago, and your song was the first one I like tried
which
to get.
one was it?
Green Mountain State.
Oh shit, that's kind of a hard song to sing.
Yeah,
Even when I
it's
play it
all over
live,
the
I'm
place.
like, oh god, here we go. You know?
Yeah, it was hard, and then she's like, "Wow, you nailed it!" And then I was like, "I don't know what I did," and then I try to think about it, and I can't do it.
That's so funny.
Well, we'll have to, when we link after all this, we can make it happen.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to you guys hearing the new record too.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, me
I'm
too.
excited.
August 7th, baby, coming out, couple days.
August 7th, let's do it.
All right, well, I love
All right,
you guys.
gentlemen. I love you too. You guys stay healthy, stay safe.
Yep, you too.
You too.
Ram,
Ram
ram.
Ram.
Glad you're back, Dakota. Glad you're back.
Glad you're here on Earth. Peace and love, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Boom. Well, there we go. Another episode of A Place for Humans podcast. I'm a big Trevor Hall fan, so that one was cool. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about that podcast. Make sure to check Trevor's album out. If you want his poetry book, Ram Priya Says. It's really cool, and there's a lot of really cool, I know my camera's a little overexposed right now, but there's a lot of cool paintings and pictures and spiritual poetry in here. To rise in the morning and greet a gift will never turn to stone. In the midst of a churning sea, we call to a home. That's it. Catch you guys next time. Make sure to leave a positive comment and review over at iTunes for me. That helps out a lot. See ya.